Hi, it's Friday, February 28th, and we're tracking two systems in the Indian Ocean today. The first one, of course, being intense tropical cyclone Garance, which is continuing tracking toward La Reunion and will make landfall later today. Near this intensity, we've also got tropical storm Honde here in the Mozambique Channel. Now, coming south of Madagascar, we're going to touch on this one just briefly because not much on the forecast aspect of this has changed. The system is trying to intensify. You can see the system overall does appear more structured today. The convection is now wrapping around the system entirely, and we don't have nearly as evident shear on the western side. We can see cirrus clouds even on this infrared imagery expanding west. So the system is likely to become a cyclone later today, but the main impact, of course, is going to be rainfall. You can see we already have rainfall being pushed ashore into southern Madagascar, and this will continue over the next few days. You can see here on the forecast from Mateo French that expectation that we've been talking about for several days of the system coming up to the southern coast and stalling out here and barely moving by Monday next week. It's just then starting to move away from Madagascar. So a lot of flooding issues expected here as the system continues to slowly pass to the south. And you can also see widespread wind impacts as tropical storm and potentially cyclone force winds as well spreads across the southern half of the island. This is the rainfall forecast from the HAFS model, a cyclone specialized model, and this is showing you that continued very heavy rainfall across southern Madagascar. The yellows here are 400 to 500 millimeters of rainfall, showing you very significant flooding potential that we will have persisting throughout the weekend into early next week in southern Madagascar. So stay safe in Madagascar as Hyundai moves through. The rest of the video is going to be on Garance as this system is now approaching La Reunion that we talked about for the past several days. The system did peak out yesterday, but is now under the influence of some stronger wind shear. You can see that a little bit here if we look at infrared imagery. The southern side appears more disrupted with the cloud tops, though we still have a very powerful storm on our hands. You can see the very cold cloud tops here on the eastern and northern sides, and this is where the strongest winds are. And the unfortunate news here is that this system is taking a track a little bit west of the island, so we may not get a direct landfall on La Reunion. If we do, we'll probably on the western part of the island, but this is going to likely put these strongest winds directly over La Reunion later this morning. And the winds in here are likely of intense tropical cyclone force, and they may come down a little bit because we are dealing with this increased shear, but this is still going to be a powerful storm once it comes through. This is the water vapor imagery, and you can sort of see here the increase in wind shear. It's on the eastern periphery of this upper level high being produced by Hyundai south of Madagascar. Pay attention here to some thunderstorms that blew up towards the beginning of this loop over La Reunion. Their tops got sheared off towards the northwest. Now you can see this better if you look at this plot. This is showing you the shear diagnostics throughout different layers of the atmosphere. So you can see towards the mid and low levels of the atmosphere, we don't really have too much shear because the winds down there are not as strong as they are aloft with the upper level high pressure system. But in a combination of the system speeding up down south and it now getting very close to the upper level high pressure system aloft, that's now a very strong wind shear. So you have the storm moving south and now this flow cutting across it towards the northwest. And you can see here, and particularly the upper levels of the atmosphere, this is now getting to 30 plus knots of shear. And the shear overall for the atmosphere is nearly 40 knots. That's a very strong wind shear, and that is detrimental to any tropical cyclone. It's very hard for a system to survive for a long period of time in shear like this. Now, it will take time for this to deteriorate the system. You can see on this microwave pass that we got several hours ago, this is still a pretty strong eye wall. So while we are seeing some deteriorating of on the south side of the eye, it's still going to take a while for this to have a significant effect on this eye wall, having it being so strong, as it did get fairly strong during the day yesterday. So we're not likely to see rapid weakening from this shear before it comes into La Reunion. You can see that here in the HAFS model forecast. This is showing you the system approaching later this morning and still very strong winds on the eastern side. I can show you that this is verified by satellite estimates. If you look at this, this is showing you the estimated winds around the system's center, and we have an estimated maximum of winds on this eastern side, what the HAPS model is showing here. So this is likely to be the case with what we're seeing on satellite imagery and on this forecast model, and this will likely be a very nasty eastern band. Hopefully, we can see a bit of a eastward jog of the system, and that would perhaps limit some storm surge potential on the north side of the island and also would keep this part offshore. But with current trends on satellite, it looks like we are trending more west. So everyone in La Reunion needs to be prepared for the strongest winds the system has to offer later this morning and hunker down because we do have a red alert, I believe, in La Reunion now as the system comes through this morning. This is the current forecast from Mateo, France. You can see that gradual weakening expected, becoming a cyclone or weakening to a cyclone before it makes landfall or that very close past later this morning. But like I said, still very strong winds expected, and the entire island can expect cyclone force winds throughout the morning hours and into the afternoon. Now, like I talked about yesterday, the good news is the system's speeding up as it comes south. You can see this is by Friday afternoon and Friday evening. The system is clearing out very quickly from La Reunion. So Friday night is going to be much, much better weather-wise than it is this morning. And hopefully that can help minimize the damage that we see from the system in La Reunion. That's all that I've got for both of our systems today. Stay safe in La Reunion and Madagascar as these two storms come through. I'll probably have another video sometime this weekend on Honde as it continues tracking south of Madagascar. And we may talk about Alfred as well near Australia, as that system could still threaten portions of Queensland and Australia as we go into next week. But as for Garance, this will be my last video on it, as after today, the system's impacts to land are pretty much done. So again, stay safe. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.